morning, everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast. Everybody's in the house. What's happening, guys? Friday.
It's Friday, and man, I got to go jump right into hockey. And I know that this Mr. Alabama guy over there is not going to know much about this, but you know, I'm a little frustrated with the Flyers. They got to make a trade today, and I know that they're not going to. And it's that bothers me. We have a couple of guys on this team. Yesterday, there was a surprise that I saw Travis Konechny not playing, and they said it was injury related, which makes me question it because I thought maybe he would be on the trading block and that it was possible that they were working something and that he was going to be gone today. And I haven't heard anything yet. Ristolainen, same situation. Defenseman. He's got some skills. He could actually get you some assets back. The Flyers are just not good enough to make the playoffs as much as I want to will them to.
Yeah.
My will isn't that strong. I don't.
Even if they were to get in, you're not going to do anything if you got there.
I don't care about that part.
Okay.
Getting in and getting to see the speed of playoff hockey is worth it. Even if you get knocked out in the first round and get swept. And I suspect that would happen because if they were to get into the playoffs, they would wind up having to play the Lightning. And the Lightning just they are what I want the Flyers to be. They have guys that are all over 6'2", 6'3", 220 pounds, have skill, and can just, run over teams. And that's what you need. You need to be able to have some speed and have some strength and be able to score. And that's what you need to win in the playoffs. The Flyers don't have that. And they don't have anything in the wings. And unfortunately, the NHL is kind of like the NBA was about 8 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe even 12 years ago, when you can only win by the draft. Nobody gets moved anymore. So you can only win by drafting guys, which means that you have to tank to draft. And the problem with tanking the draft is that you have other teams that are much better at it. And the NHL helps, i.e. Chicago. Chicago always gets helped by getting a better pick in the draft. You never hear about Chicago moving backwards in the draft. It's always, they had the 8th pick. Now they're the first pick in the draft. How about that? It's amazing how many times they happen to win that. They're so lucky that way. Same thing.
They're the NHL version of the Spurs.
Yeah. Same thing with the Penguins. Same thing with the Devils. And it bothers me that the Flyers are left out of this because I tell you, playoff hockey is so much better when Philadelphia is in it. Because, again, the Philadelphia fans travel. And we will get into those stadiums. We make these games exciting. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I know that right now that this team is not good enough to be in the playoffs. And if that's the case, you need to be able to get to the spot where we can get the guys that we need to be into the playoffs. And they're not doing that either. And that really puts me at a very tough disadvantage here because I love the Flyers and I have watched.
I mean, you're required to. You're the Philly sports.
I'm not required to. I am not required to. I learned how to become a sports fan by watching hockey. Yeah. I learned at the age of 2. So the orange and black runs very deep in my blood, very deep. And I get very frustrated because there have been people in this organization who have created this problem. And now they continue to do the same thing over and over and over again, not being able to change it. And that bothers me that they continue to make the same mistakes over and over again. And this is the problem when you have a corporation like Comcast that owns a franchise. because ultimately it still comes down to the money, and they're not really considering what the product is on the court or on the ice. And
So
even though they got Danny Briere, good.
here's the thing, right? Like, they're owned by Comcast. Did you really expect them to be good? You expect them to have a product that works reasonably well some of the time. They're just keeping it true to what they do.
If it would be funny if it wasn't true. That's part of the problem here. And it's like I've been talking about, like, hey, listen, I appreciate the old boys network. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I like the fact that they want to try to keep everything in house. That was what Mr. Snyder was really big on, to win today and walk together forever. And he took that mantra to the nth degree. I will say that it is done. It has run its course now. It is time to go outside the organization to start to solve some of these problems. And we need to start getting a different thought process. Not that Danny Briere isn't good at what he does. He is still learning. You know what I mean? I think he's going to be great in hockey. He's going to do great things. But I'm not sure that I want him to do those great things here. I want him to learn somewhere else. I want to get somebody who is over-seasoned, knows exactly what he's doing, gets in here and brings this team back to the prominence it had for 45 years. And all of a sudden, it's like 12 years now. 12 years minus the COVID year. We have not been in the playoffs, and I'm tired of it. I am so tired of it. Playoff hockey absolutely needs to happen in Philadelphia, and I get very, very frustrated that it's not. And it doesn't look like it's going to happen again this year. I watched them against a team who 2 years ago was playing in a city who had 2,000 fans show up to it. Just because they move cities does not mean that they got any better. And they got a halfway decent record. They're above 500. I get it. They've got some pieces in place, but they ain't any better. Boston's a better team than them, and we put out a lackluster effort last night.
Yeah.
To lose 3-0 to a backup goaltender and a team that's been on the road for a week already is frustrating.
No, I get it. I mean, we lost to the Blues again the other night, and it wasn't as bad of a loss, but the Blues aren't a good team, right? They're a sub 500 team. But for whatever reason, we can't seem to get it done against them. And of course, for those of you that are watching that may not be familiar, today is the trade deadline. So that's why we're talking about what things need. Unfortunately, the Kraken are exactly in that same spot. We're a little bit better team, right? So we're that fringe playoff team. We'll probably sneak in. We won't go anywhere, but we'll probably sneak in. But we're not going to do anything because we've been so inconsistent. There will be times that they're playing really well. They're actually kind of scoring, and you're like, okay, we add a score to like the second or third line. It's going to be great. And then they'll go on a run where you're like, well, it doesn't matter what you add to this team. They're not going to do anything. And so I really believe they're really just not going to make any moves. Now, the GM has a press conference today, so I'll be at that, as soon as the trade deadline is done, because it's done at noon Pacific. So,
and I will tell you this. I say so if. And we can talk about this a little bit more after the show. If you want some real questions to ask the GM, to not just figure out what's the goal for the end of this season, but moving forward, because I tell you, I need them to ask some of these questions to we don't have enough in our farm system to be able to push forward. I remember them drafting Jet Luchenko. and he's coming along nicely in the OHL. We got a player in the NCAA who's doing very well, but of course they're not going to bring him up this year because they don't want him to lose a year of eligibility for whatever reason. And it's like these are the things that are going on, and we're going to wind up with a mid-level pick because we're not going to get any help. We're going to wind up losing spots because teams like Chicago and the Devils will move up in the air, and we get pushed back some because of that. And it's like, and I will tell you that this has gone on since Paul Holmgren for the Philadelphia Flyers. I was so frustrated when they brought him on, and then when he started to making all the decisions, I was never a fan of him. Again, I always talk about championships and collecting them. That the more championships you collect around you, the more people get to understand what it takes to create and to win a championship. And that's part of the problem. When your lead guy, Bobby Clark at least won 2 Stanley Cups. And as bad of a GM as I thought that he was here, when he got fired and they brought in Jay Snyder and he went to Florida, he brought that team to the cup. He was able to get that team to a cup. And what that told me is that it's not that he is unable to do it. It's just that I think that he needs a fresh start, that there were people around him that were stopping the progress. Once Paul Holmgren got here, and I always talk about Paul Holmgren, and here was the problem I had with Paul Holmgren. Paul Holmgren never won a championship. He never won it in juniors, never won it in seniors, never won it in the WHA, never won it in the NHL, never won it as an assistant coach, never won it as a full-time coach, never won it as an assistant GM, never won it as a GM, never won it as a president. So how does this guy know how to win a championship if he's never done it? And it's been so frustrating and so angering because they continue to think that he's got the right way. You cannot ask for directions from somebody who's never been there. I'm off my soapbox. Like I said, I knew I was going to come out with a little bit of fire today on the Flyers, and I love the Flyers. I want the Flyers to win. I don't want this is frustration. This is not like hatred to my franchise. I want my franchise to do well. I wish I was better at knowing like how to be a scout and to be able to get the talent onto this team and being able to have guys like, hey, let me get a hold of, if I liked Connor McDavid even a little bit, I would be like texting him, hey, Connor, would really love to see you in orange and black. I think that you would be amazing, and stuff like that, and trying to coddle him to get him here. Yeah. I'm not a fan of him. He's a great player, and he's one of those guys.
He would make your team better.
He would make the team better. There's certain guys I love to hate. You know what I mean? And like Marchand is one. Sidney Crosby is one. I don't want them on my team because I always want them to be the villain. I always want them to be hated. I guess if it would make a difference in my franchise, I would absolutely get Connor McDavid here. If I thought that he would be the end all be all, but I watch and I watch and I watch, and the last 3 years have told me one thing about Connor McDavid is that he can get there. He can't win them. And we learned it again in the Olympics where he was the captain of the team.
Yeah.
And here we go. We watched the U.S. Thank God. I mean, listen, I appreciate that the U.S. won. And trust me, I was very happy to watch him lose another one. Because Florida beat them twice in the Stanley Cup, and now he just lost the gold medal. And I tell you, that starts to sink in. And then having him come here and realize that it's a fight to get there, and he's not putting in enough effort. And he puts in a lot of effort. Like I said, this guy's a great player. I
don't think effort's ever been an issue for him.
Yeah, but he's just does, for whatever reason, he doesn't have that extra little bit to get the ring. Now it could happen this year. I mean, anything is possible, but ultimately the fact that he has lost and lost and now lost again kind of gives me all I would rather see. I would prefer him not to be on this team. That being said,
Well, that works out. That works out because he's not on your team.
right. Could he become a Flyer? He's going to be a free agent. He's going to get lots and lots and lots of money. When I think of the Kachucks, when I think of Austin Matthews, when I think of certain guys that I know that can play this game and create the mindset that you need, because you need somebody. They need somebody on this team. Giroux was never it either. They need somebody on this team who knows how to energize the rest of the players. Again, hockey's a little different where it's the difference between the best guy in the league and the worst guy in the league is a big difference. Because the best guy and number two guy is even there's a big swing in that. So it's not like football in that regard. And you only have 5 people on the ice most of the time. So you don't have the ability to lean on certain guys. But I tell you, when you have the right guys put in place, I mean, the Legion of Doom, which is with the Flyers, when it was John LeClaire, Eric Lindros, and Michael Renberg, they scared teams because that line could put the puck in the net at any time. And it didn't matter whenever it was, they were still in the game and they could still score goals like that. And we just don't have that. And it's frustrating. It's so frustrating. And I know that you're new into hockey up in Seattle up there, but this is the type of energy you want. You want my energy on the ice. That's what you want. And until that actually comes, and listen, I got to spend some time the other day with Trevor Zegras, and he's a great kid. He's 21 years old, but he's got to look up to the veterans. He doesn't have the presence yet to be able to command the locker room and command better from everyone else. And until that person comes, we're going to be we're going to be on the outside looking in.
Yeah. I mean, I will say there's no shortage of energy when it comes to the Kraken. Like that's not an issue. Our issue is
probably because the energy is what's winning games, because to be a defensive team, you need a lot of energy.
Yeah, energy is not a problem, whether it's on the ice or in the stadium. Like, energy is not an issue. The issue is they just won't put the puck on the net. They're looking for that next pass rather than just uncorking a shot. And that's where you hope that they bring someone in. Not that I necessarily think that it would elevate them to do anything more, right? Like, I don't think one guy is necessarily going to change the way the team operates. But what it might do is, if you get one of those veteran presence that likes to shoot, right, that wants to put the puck on the net, then maybe that encourages these other guys. Like, hey, don't look for that perfect pass shot. Like, take the shot. I mean, when you watch the Hurricanes, they're not looking to do 5,000 passes. They are just peppering the net because they know
pass, shoot, rebound. Exactly. Pass, shoot, rebound. You have to learn how to pass the puck off of the goalie's pads. That's what you're looking to do. That's how things happen. You attack the net, and that's the other part. Like, I watched on a power play, and Bobby Brink, who's a good player. He's not a great player. He's a good player. And he went to go in front of the net. He got there. He gets a little cross check, which is what happens when you get in front of the net. You start to get banged in your back. He gets knocked down. He skated out. He didn't stay there. You got to stay there. You got to plant. You got to live there. You can't be moved. You cannot have them just do a little push and you go away. You got to live there. You got to block them. You have to make that defender defend you in front of the goalie so that the goalie's got to look around you. You know what I mean? And do that type of stuff because that's what makes the difference. Those are the things, those small little things that make the big difference. Listen, if I could skate, if I could be a hockey player, I would try to be out there myself. You know what I mean? I love it. I'm way too old now, obviously, but Gordie Howe played till he was like 75 years old. So I mean, but that was Gordie Howe. Let's face it, he was one of the greatest. That being said, I know what I want my team to do, and they just don't have the ability to do it. And it doesn't matter coaching. It doesn't matter. The
I was going to say
isn't there.
That's like for us. Like this isn't on Coach Lane. You know, that is a player mentality thing. Like if you're not looking to take that shot, if you're always looking for that pass, that's not necessarily a coaching issue. That is
but not in the way you think.
It plays into it, but like you also have to have players that want that shot, right?
So I will tell you that in hockey, the head coach is there to win games. That's what the head coach is there to do. He's there to win games. You have 3 assistant coaches. You have a goalie coach, you have a defensive coach, and you have an offensive coach. Your offensive coach has got to be the one that teaches the tape-to-tape passes and to put the puck on the net. That's the one. He's the guy that's got to teach that. Your head coach isn't teaching that. Your head coach is putting together the lines. He's making sure that there's certain plays that are run. He's making sure that the wins are happening. And the wins are happening, so I can't blame the head coach for that because you guys are in a playoff spot. And the West is better than, the West is not better than the East right now. I think that the East is has a harder way to get there.
It's funny because the East is the haves and have-nots, and the West is an incredible amount of parity. Like everybody's points are so close together.
Right. You have Colorado, and then
yes.
Yeah, I knew that this was not the Alabama guy's forte here. You know what I mean? This is not what he was going to be able to talk about a lot. And I apologize that he gets to listen, but this is the way he gets to learn too, because hey, I can make him a hockey fan because he'll become more understanding when he does watch a hockey game just from listening to what it is that I say.
With the trade deadline today, like this was inevitable.
Right.
I mean, we were going to be talking hockey because, I mean, the trade deadline is huge for both of our teams, but I mean, around the league, obviously.
And like I said, I've been talking and willing, and I've got even money, some actual real cash bet on the Flyers making the playoffs, and I think I'm going to lose it. I think I'm going to lose that money. And I am unhappy about that, because it makes me wonder if I did enough, like, did I cheer enough? Did I razz enough goalies? Did I do the things that I'm supposed to do to be able to make sure that they could win these games?
And you can lose money on the Flyers too. If you use the QR code on the screen, up to 125% of your first 3 deposits, 10% bet guarantee. If you bet on the Flyers, you could win big. But odds are you're just giving money away. And, of course, if you're in the Pacific Northwest, you can use this QR code right here. Free 5-day pass, any of the 3 True Fusion Gym locations, Bellevue, Ballard, University Village, Pilates Boot Camp, Yoga Bar, and more. Check out their new Reformer studio. Find your edge. True Fusion Gym. There we go.
That was a good segue off of hockey.
It seemed like a good way to help everybody lose on the Flyers. There is quite a bit going on around the NFL as well. Some of the bigger moves are with the Bears. I really thought the Bears were going to try and run a lot of this back, and a few days ago they have one of their offensive linemen, Drew, retire, leaving a ton of money on the table. So that was a little bit surprising. He had a 3-year, $40 million contract that he's only played the first year in. Had a great season. He was a Pro Bowler and decides to hang it up. So I was a little surprised by that one. Not so much that he retired at 27. We've seen plenty of that. But with a $40 million contract, I feel like I'd have hung out a couple more years. So
did he explain a reason why?
I haven't seen one. So like if there was a health issue or something like that, then it would make more sense. But I haven't seen a reason for the retirement, just that he retired. And then they release linebacker Tremaine Edmonds. And probably the biggest thing to note is they trade away DJ Moore to the Bills. And they didn't get as much as you would have thought they would get. They get a second rounder for him. The Bills get Moore and a fifth. That's it.
I think that's appropriate. Listen, DJ Moore is a very good receiver, not a great receiver.
Sure.
I think
was
that
their
he
best
was
receiver.
Yeah, but absolutely, he was their best receiver. However, I thought that a second round pick was good. Giving back the fifth round pick, I was a little surprised on, but that's a compensatory pick, so it's not like it was almost like a giveaway.
Yeah,
for that one. Yeah, it's there must have been something that he wanted changed.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're looking at it from a cap space perspective, that frees up those three guys free up $44 million. So, I mean, if you're looking at it purely from a team building, you can go get some guys, you can retain some guys. It makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
When you're looking at skill guys in this draft, though, are you going to get a receiver that's Moore's caliber? I don't know that you do.
Yeah. Are you also just putting a lot more into like Luther Burden and Rome Odunze? Like, are you saying I have a lot more faith in those guys than maybe anyone from the outside does? So that's, I guess, that. And then tight end, they also drafted two as well. So are you expecting that and not necessarily going high for a wide receiver? Are we picking up one in the later round just to kind of fill out depth? So, but
where are you kicking the tires on a Mike Evans or something like that?
Right,
like, are you trying to still get a decent guy that maybe isn't going to command quite as much money? Because when it comes to Moore, he was going to be owed $15.5 million. So now the Bills obviously picked that up. 2026 is guaranteed. And if he's on their roster after the league year, which is the 11th, 2027 becomes fully guaranteed as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm also kind of surprised, I guess, at the Buffalo part of it. I mean, I guess I realized they need a number one.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it would be, and maybe my estimation of DJ Moore is just less at this point of his, career or whatever than it should be. But I felt like they needed a better number one in that spot. But I mean, if you're the Bills, I guess you realize we got to try something going into this next year.
Yeah, I mean, you need something, right? Like you gotta give Josh Allen things to work with. So I didn't mind the pickup for them, And when you're looking at the other guys that are on the market, is Mike Evans going to be your number one? I don't know. I mean, at this stage in his career, obviously Diggs is available. He's old, might be in jail. Really don't know. So I mean, like,
does he get paroled on weekends though? Like, does he have like one of those?
It's work release. Allegedly, do not sue the show.
Yes. We ain't got no money anyway, so you come after us, it's not going to be no 50 million or whatever you're shooting.
It's be $5. Yeah, that's what we can get you a bus pass.
Yes.
Yeah. But no, it's so interesting moves from the Bears. Saints move on from Cam Jordan, and older player, right? It's been 15 years in the league, all with the Saints. He was still their sack leader, though. Had 10.5 sacks last year. He's the franchise leader. I was a little surprised that they were letting him go, just because he was one of the few pieces that worked.
Yeah. I mean, are they just finally trying to fix like all their cap issues and all that kind of stuff? It just seems like that's the kind of guy you would keep around and go ahead and just let retire there or whatever,
Mhm.
especially at this stage. So,
Well, because
I don't
you're
know.
not, it's not going to cost a fortune to keep him,
Right.
right? 15 years in the league, you're not in your highest earning years, right? So, again, I was a little surprised that they were letting him go. I thought they were going to give, you know, a smaller contract to keep him there, especially because he was still one of their better producers. But we did the same thing with Bobby Wagner here in Seattle, so I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, if the Bills were to land Mike Evans also, that would be cool for them.
I'm telling you, you guys keep thinking Mike Evans going to. If Mike Evans goes anywhere, it's going to be. I think it's going to be lateral, and what I mean by that, it's that he is going to go Houston, Dallas, L.A. He's going to stay warm. He's not going to go to a
That's fair.
cold,
That's fair.
cold weather.
Yeah. I could see
It was
Houston,
just
not
talking.
Dallas.
It was just talking fit wise. It would be good in the Bills, but yeah, you're probably right. He's probably not going to go try and finish his career cold.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just.
I'd love to
he's
see him in
been-
Houston. I'd love that.
Well, you know what? Houston's got a quarterback problem, and he has to make a severe jump. That's the one thing that I saw in the playoffs is that you
Oh,
gave away the
absolutely.
ball too many times, and you cannot do that anymore. Like you've got a quarterback problem in Houston at the moment. And interestingly enough, we keep putting the Raiders in the mix with a lot of different things, but I think they've got an ownership problem, and I think it's not just from the haircut down. I think it goes. Tom Brady is also creating issues over there. The fact that they can't get Max Crosby to change his mind
Mhm.
after sitting with him and coddling him and all these other things that they're trying to do, they can't seem to get anything moving for him. Uh, that's a problem. That's a severe problem. I like even AJ Brown. Like I know that they're talking and it's like it's nonstop in Philadelphia. Where's AJ going to go? And is he going to move? And and it's like, and I kind of thought, I'll be honest, when I heard about the Chicago move, I thought that was a play for AJ Brown because Chicago, I think, has 2 first-round picks. They now have an additional second-round pick,
Yeah.
and that could energize them to give up a first-round pick and a later pick and maybe even a tight end. I'm not exactly sure. Like as I'm thinking about the Eagles' needs as they get rid of Dallas Goedert. I don't know that I thought maybe that would become a play. We'll see. We'll see. But imagine AJ Brown on the Bears.
No, that'd be amazing. And Nick, you're not wrong. The offensive line really did fall off at the end of the season there. But CJ Stroud at the same time completely imploded. Like he was his own worst enemy. He was throwing to wide open defenders.
Terrible. Yeah. Yeah. There were too many times where he was outside of the pocket and free and was still throwing terrible interceptions. So
exactly.
Yeah, the line was bad, but there was points just left out there. And when you have a defense like that, if your offensive line is bad, play safe, throw it away, punt it. They would have been better off in certain possessions if they just punted on first down versus letting CJ Stroud do anything. So no, I get the other stuff, but no, he was just terrible in that game.
And Scott, I don't rule KC out of anything. They get pretty creative, So do I think he goes there? No. Would I rule it out? Also, no.
Yeah, and I will say that if Kansas City had another first round pick, that might be if they had 2 first round picks, I could see it. The fact that their first round pick is fairly high, especially for Kansas City, and in the last few years, they put a lot more stock into that pick in comparison to previous picks. Like if it was the 32nd pick of the draft, that's fine. I don't care about that. The 31st pick, the 28th pick, even that's that's further down the list. They're what, at number 12 or
9.
11?
9.
9. You know what I mean? That's way
So-
too high of a pick
So
to be able to
apparently
give that up.
apparently they do have 2. 9
Okay.
and 29.
So maybe the
I forgot the
29th pick,
29th. Yeah, I forgot
Yeah.
the 29th.
if they
Well,
have
I-
the 29th pick, that would be the pick that I'd consider moving, for AJ Brown.
Well, those 2 picks are where I made the thought that they would go after Walker, because you fix your running back situation, you have those 2 picks, and you go get that top corner in the draft because they just got rid of McDuffie and an offensive lineman, and so you fill a bunch of your holes without actually having to do anything. And then McDuffie leaving frees up enough money to bring Walker in.
That's where that 29th pick came from McDuffie.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that makes sense to me now. That's okay, because I'm
Yeah.
like,
That's why I forgot
like, they
that
didn't
one. I was
have
only
2
thinking
picks.
9. Yeah.
But if
now
they
they
were
do.
to go that route, then they get their running back situation figured out. They replace the corner, and they fix part of their offensive line.
Yeah. So if Love is still available at 9, even though people don't think he is, do you just keep that pick and go with him, or are you trying to do something else with that pick instead now?
So if you go and get Walker, then no, you go and you get your
Corner.
your corner, because that's about where that one's going to go anyway. If you don't get him, then yeah, they probably get Love because they need a running back. I mean, they have to figure that spot out.
Right.
I tell you, Reed is not a first-round running back guy. He doesn't like
They
to put
traded
running
back
backs in the
Get
first.
I guess after they did Clyde Edwards-Helaire or whatever, I guess that was the last time they saw it. That didn't work out, never again.
Yeah,
Well, but he's not traditionally that way.
Right.
I get it, except Love
Just blowing the
played
doors
so
off.
well, and then you go to the combine and he runs a 4.3, which is unheard of for a running back. Has good hands. I mean, that's a guy that Reed may deviate from what he normally does.
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah. Because you're kind of in that spot now where there's like 1, maybe 2 running backs who are like first round worthy, and the Chiefs are never in this position. So if you have a chance to grab that one guy and it's a position of need, then yeah, I could see it this one time. So
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I don't think he gets to 9.
right.
I don't know
Especially
that
not after the combine.
Exactly. I don't know that the Giants pick him up, but the Saints certainly would. And the Saints are sitting at 8. So, I have no doubt in my mind the Saints would go get that, because Kamara, he's done, right?
Yeah.
Certainly as a Saint, but also just his career path may be over. Like, he just can't stay
I don't
healthy.
know. I think the Saints are going to go offensive line. And I think that they should, if I was the Saints and if I was that head coach, we aren't ready to win this year, and a running back's not going to make the difference this year either. I would start to fortify your trenches. That's where you got to start to. Now, the defense was serviceable last year, so I'm going offensive line. You got to start to be no sense in getting a running back or a quarterback if you can't protect that guy yet. And that's where you got to just get the guys and get the girth on the offensive line to be able to start to manage everything else. Because that's where I kind of thought, I mean, I haven't heard anything about Stoutland, but that's where I thought he would go. I thought he would go to New Orleans. Like, that's where I suspect that his spot would be. And if he goes down there and he thinks that you have a serviceable enough offensive line to be able to protect a running back, then they might go that way. But now that's a couple of ifs, and I think that they are, like, if they're going to give Kellen Moore some time, get your offensive line working, and then start to figure out everything else. And I think it would be too early for them to start to pick a running back. A running back is like you're putting the cart before the horse a little bit.
Yeah. Kind of like the Raiders did, basically. and see where it got them.
And do I think he gets 18 mil? Maybe. Certainly not in Seattle. But they are saying that he's going to get somewhere in that $15 to $18 million. So, I mean, more power to him. But the problem is he's just too limited as a player. Like he's phenomenal, is your special teams guy. And
Right.
he's a gadgety guy. So he can do the jet sweeps and the end arounds. And all, I get it. The problem is he's not a every down receiver. So if I'm spending that kind of money on a receiver, I need to see you out there all the time. If we only get he had like 200 yards receiving or something this year. It's not like he had a ton of opportunities.
Right.
So I'm not paying that kind of money for a guy that isn't a consistent piece in your offense.
Yeah. I think the reason why he gets that play is because, you'll say he gets 200 yards, but you can probably always remember every 200 yards because it's always like some big play or some great play or whatever. You're like, oh, that guy's great. You're like, yeah, but that's it for, the next 2 quarters for him. But I think in our minds,
they won't even put him on the field is the thing. So
Right.
He doesn't have like the ability to go get 50-50 balls. Like you can move him
Right.
off his spot. No, like everything you see that's like a true highlight for him has been special teams when it came to Seattle. He had that one catch right at the beginning of the championship game with the Rams.
and that's what I'm thinking
Never
about.
saw him again.
Right. But I'm saying those are the ones that stick in your mind. Like I could clearly remember that, but like to your point, I don't remember a single thing afterwards. But I think in our minds, especially as fans' minds, like, oh, that's a great guy. Like are we going to pay? We're going to keep him. You're like, do you not remember the rest of the game? No, you'll remember that one to kick off that game and then nothing else. So
yeah, well, that's because there was nothing else to remember. Yeah, and offensive line, obviously, those are positions that are kind of deep in this draft. So you don't necessarily have to go get a guy at number 8, right? Like if you're the Saints, you can still get a solid guy at the beginning of the second round. Because there's only a couple of like standout guys at the top. And then really from the middle of the first round through the middle of the second round, it's a lot of the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the problem that I have. When all of the pundits say that it's a rich draft of a certain position, you find that they are all wrong.
So
just because there seems to be a lot of parity in the higher portion of that position, I feel like that is not as good as what everybody thinks they are.
So I'm not saying these guys are elite, right? What I'm saying is there's not a lot of drop off between the middle of the first round and the middle of the second round. So really what that means, you got a lot of second round guys.
Yeah.
That's what that says to me. Right.
Yeah.
And everybody's talking about it being such a rich draft when it comes to the trenches because of how bad the skill player depth is. So those guys get elevated because there's only a couple of receivers. There's 2 quarterbacks. There is a couple of, DBs. And then after that, you're deep in the second round, right? You got 1 running back that's a first round grade. So of course the offensive line is and defensive line, because the skill positions aren't that good and it helps elevate those. But when you're looking at, the parity, it means that you have a lot of second round caliber talent. And so, no, I don't think they're going to be elite, but it's going to be better than what the Saints have.
Here's what I will say that they are. Here's what all the offensive and defensive linemen, they are 1 year older than they normally are because they were the COVID year guys. So that's the difference of this year in comparison to previous years, is that their first year in college was COVID. So they did not play, which means that they got the extra year of eligibility, which allows them to play. And that's why they're all like a year older than they should be. And that's what's making them better. And that's what's making this draft more fruitful in that position. Where the other positions, you got guys leaving early. That's like if you're any good, you're jumping into the draft early rather than leaving late. So you're not doing the 4 years. Where these 4-year guys are all 5-year guys because COVID year they did not play.
Yeah.
You're also getting a lot more guys sticking around because of NIL. Like if you're a fringe first rounder, and even some guys who are solid first rounders are saying, I mean, look at Dante Moore, maybe the second quarterback off the board is like, I'm going to get drafted by the Jets. I'm going back to school. You're getting a lot of guys like that who are thinking, I'm going to take the college money for one more year versus, taking my chances at that. So I think everything is going to skew a little bit older as far as you continue to go along.
Yeah, NIL will definitely affect that, especially as you get towards the later guys in the draft. And Nick, that's exactly what I was saying. Is it's not like elite guys in there. There's a lot of good players. That's kind of what this draft is. They're good. They're not amazing. They're not, franchise changing, anything like that. The Giants for Walker would be interesting. The Steelers. Man, that offensive line better get a whole lot better.
Yeah, I feel like they've got to get other things better before they grab another running back. Well,
and I mean, if the Steelers were to do it with the way their offensive line is, it means they have not watched film at all, because behind a bad offensive line, Walker gets hurt. Because we had a bad offensive line, he was hurt every year. So. I mean, and maybe they do it again. Whoever's going to pay him, like that's where he's going to go.
And I'll be honest, I feel like the Steelers are in a holding pattern. I just the hiring of the coach is not the way they normally do things. The way that they're attacking the quarterback position is not the way they normally do things. I feel like that they are in such a flux. And interestingly enough, like when they did the grades for everything, they got the F. They got the F. So it makes me wonder what's happening over there with that franchise. I mean, it's been a storied franchise for so long, but has it passed its peak? Has it
for sure
jumped the shark, as you will?
For sure.
I mean, they're definitely going to have a losing record this year.
Yeah. I used to love Tomlin, but I've been saying at least for 2 years it was time to move on, because I think it became about the pursuit of not having a losing season versus, I mean, you were almost guaranteed, hey, one and done playoffs. Like, this is what the team is going to be. Let's get to the playoffs. We're going to lose first round. And they were just seemed to be okay with that for 4, 5, 6 years. And that's just not like the Steelers' way, not like what we traditionally think of them. I just don't think they were pushing for more, and they just got in that little complacent thing. And then they paid the defense all that money, and then when they fell off a cliff, it was really bad, So because the offense wasn't propping up anything, but they ran like the same offense out there for what, forever it feels like.
Yeah,
hey, let's go out and kick a bunch of field goals and hope the defense wins the game. So
yeah,
I just didn't see any improvement the last couple years. Yeah,
once your defense falls apart, then your system doesn't work. And of course, everybody looks at the coach at that point, because you're like, how are you the first defense? They haven't had a good one
right
since the 70s. They've had a good defense. So,
but every time we say that we think they're going to have a losing record, they don't. So, and I know that Jamie over here in the comments is saying that the Steelers are going to be okay. I mean, that's exactly what Steelers fans say, that every year that they think, hey, listen, don't sleep on us. We're going to be better than you expect. And I believe that. I think that they will be better than we expect, because for some reason or another, they just don't have losing seasons.
I have them as an 8-win team. I have them just missing their winning season. And, so because you're in a division that nobody wants to win. So, I think the Steelers will be fine. I think they just enjoy their first losing season.
Mhm.
in 20 years.
No, Jamie, I'm going to Clearwater, Florida tomorrow, so I'm going to miss that Penguins game, unfortunately. As much as I'd love to go, I can't make it.
It's going to go play in the sun. So,
But I look at it as that I think their offense will be better because the one thing that I have to give to McCarthy is that he is innovative and does understand what he does and does not have and able to use his strengths properly on offense. Uh, the defense is good enough that they will be able to. They can't be any worse than they were last year. You know what I mean?
I was going to say, are you predicting a bounce back for the defense? Are you saying that's in the
yeah, I
card?
think that they're going to be a little bit better than they were before. You know what I mean? Because now you got somebody new. Somebody's new is playing with this toy. So I feel that it could work one of two ways. The toy could be broken, or the toy is going to be optimized now for what it is that they were doing. And I felt like that was the problem with the Pittsburgh defense is that you could scheme around them.
Yeah.
And that they were becoming too transparent with what it is that they were doing. And because of that, you could beat them. That being said, they still made the playoffs.
Yeah. Well,
And
again, you're playing in a division that nobody wanted to win last year. So, I mean,
Right.
And you could see more of that this year, right? It's not like I trust any of the teams that are in that division.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, you don't think
Look,
that
you got them at
because
8 wins,
Cincinnati's coach?
you get. Yeah.
I mean, the fact that they just got rid of their only defensive player, I mean, and don't sound like they're really trying to do anything to get that better.
No.
They don't have an offensive line. I would say that the Bengals, again, it's just going to be the shootouts. And unless they can put up 48 points a game, they're going to lose a lot of games still.
Yeah.
Even when they do put up 48, they lose 49-48.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, unless they are perfect on offense and then accidentally get a stop, it's the only way they win. And, they're not doing anything to get better. In fact, you could argue the point that they're finding ways to get worse somehow. So, I mean, what do you do?
And this is the last year of his contract, right? When I say his, I mean Burrows.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Is it this year or is it next? I'd have to look. I don't remember. But he is coming to the end of it. I don't see a scenario where he stays.
Me neither.
There is no amount of money based on this team construction that you could roll out to me where I'm like, yeah, let me be on IR every other year of my career. How about we get some protection? just anything.
He's actually signed through 2029.
Yeah, but the last
extension that he signed. Yeah, but but I'm just talking about just in general. That's what it is because his contract actually didn't start until 2025. He signed it years before, but it didn't actually start until 2025. So he's actually just played the first year of it.
Oh, okay.
Right, but all that guaranteed money is gone this year, I believe. Most of it. Like, it would be enough for him to be able to say either re-sign me to ridiculous money again so that I'm the highest paid player in the league. Like, you could start holding them hostage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. The first thing that I look at, it's not a deep dive, I guess, but the first potential out, it says is a 2028 on the very first thing.
Oh, okay.
Then
that's so he's tied up then.
Yeah, then he's retiring.
Yeah. No, for real. Yeah.
I mean, fake an injury every year until you're out of there. Or
he might get medically retired based on that offensive line.
Yeah.
It honestly, it could. It could.
Yeah.
I mean,
2030.
I'd be interested to see if they entertain trades if they're not going to get better. Although you have to think that if they wildly underperform this year, that maybe ownership is finally like, hey, you know what? this coach and GM may not be it.
Yeah.
Well, this is the last year for the coach anyways, right? They didn't re-sign him. There's no extension.
I'd have to look. I'd have to look. I don't
know if it's worse to not fire him or to keep him around as a lame duck coach with no contract for 1 year. Like, what are we doing if we're Cincinnati? That doesn't make sense.
That's Cincinnati. They are cheap and they don't like to pay two people.
That is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, if he gets beat up enough, maybe he does come out in halftime and be like, "Hey, you know what? I think I'm straight, guys. Like, I'm gonna go hit the buffet in a bar."
Do you remember when he came back and they were like, if they go on a little bit of run, this division is winnable, and then they still couldn't even do that, and everyone was right. That division was absolutely winnable because, like you said, nobody wanted it, but. I don't know.
He came back and he scored like over 80 points in 2 games and lost both games.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it is both of their last years. And I expect that to be true. Yeah. Like when I make my list for coaches getting fired this year, Taylor's at the top.
Yeah.
He won't get fired. He just won't get renewed.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Office Space. We fixed the glitch. He's just not anymore.
Yeah. And since he wasn't coaching before anyway, everything works
right?
out.
Yeah, I mean, move him down to storage room B. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Really.
That being said, that does get us to the top of the show. Appreciate all of you watching, and we'll see y'all next week. Take it easy, everybody.
Smooth jazz.
Yeah.